The fluorescent hum of the boardroom lights at Technova Systems beat down like judgment from above, casting stark shadows across the long oak table where I sat. My fingers interlaced so tightly my knuckles turned white. Daniel Reed, my husband of 9 years, paced at the front like a king claiming his throne, his tailored Brooks Brothers suit hugging his frame with the false perfection he'd built our life on. 13 sets of eyes followed him, colleagues, executives, the very people he'd charmed into blindness. But I saw through it all now. The lies, the thefts, the quiet erosion of my soul. "Ladies and gentlemen," Daniel began, his voice smooth as polished marble, clicking the remote with a flourish that screamed self-importance. "Today, we celebrate a triumph for Technova. The Vanguard tech contract I've locked in will flood our coffers with $45 million over the next 4 years. Whispers of admiration swirled through the room. Catherine Brooks, our sharp-eyed CEO, leaned forward with a nod of approval. Michael Vargas, Daniel's closest ally and golf buddy, flashed a grin that reeked of complicity. Robert Harlan, the company's grizzled co-founder, sat in the corner like a sentinel, his lined face giving nothing away. I felt the air thicken, heavy with the storm I knew was brewing, not the one Daniel had scripted, but the one I'd orchestrated in the shadows. Daniel paused for effect, reaching into his leather briefcase with deliberate slowness, savoring the drama like a predator toying with prey. "But before we toast to this milestone," he said, his tone dipping into mock solemnity, "there's a personal matter I need to clear the air on." The room went still as a held breath. He strode toward me, each step echoing like a countdown, and slid a thick envelope across the table. It stopped inches from my hands, the contents whispering betrayal through the paper. Divorce papers. Bold, black print spelling out the end of us. "Emily," he announced, loud enough to brand the moment into everyone's memory. "This is your exit package from our marriage." Michael let out a bark of laughter, quickly joined by a couple of junior execs shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Daniel's lips curled into a victorious smirk, feeding off the awkward energy like it was applause. He didn't see the noose tightening. 9 years of me propping him up, burying my own ambitions in graphic design to manage his image, enduring his wandering eyes and sharper words. All reduced to this public gutting. "Don't play the victim, darling," he added, pivoting back to the group with arms wide, as if addressing a jury. "We've both known it's been crumbling. Time for fresh starts all around." The chuckles grew strained, Catherine frowning at the impropriety. But Daniel plunged ahead. "Now, let's break down those Vanguard numbers." He clicked the remote. And that's when his world fractured. The slide didn't show profit charts. Instead, damning files bloomed across the screen, altered bank transfers, email chains exposing his affair, pilfered project proposals with other names hastily erased. The room exploded in gasps, chairs scraping as people craned forward. Daniel whirled, his golden boy facade cracking like cheap glass, color leaching from his face. "What the? This isn't right." Frantic clicks advanced the slides relentlessly, evidence of embezzled funds siphoned into hidden accounts, client data sold to rivals, bonuses claimed on stolen ideas. Robert and I had compiled it all over 4 agonizing months. Every pixel a shard of my shattered trust. Michael's smirk vanished, replaced by wide-eyed dread. Catherine's expression turned to steel, her fingers gripping the table edge. Daniel's eyes locked on mine, wild with accusation. For the first time, the man who'd chipped away at my confidence until I was a shadow of myself had no words. The cheater, the thief, the manipulator exposed raw under those unforgiving lights. But this unveiling was just the spark. The real fire was yet to come. For months earlier, The Technova annual fundraiser glittered under chandeliers in a downtown Chicago ballroom. Champagne flutes clinking like false promises. I stood beside Daniel in the sapphire gown he'd picked to make me look the part, his hand on my waist more possession than affection. We wove through clusters of suits and smiles, me nodding along as Elizabeth Grant from Vanguard Tech gushed. "Emily, you're glowing." Daniel's so fortunate to have such a pillar at home. I forced a smile, the kind I'd mastered like a mask. "Thanks, Elizabeth. I'm just thrilled with all he's achieved." Daniel's grip tightened, a warning squeeze. Emily put her design career on hold for mine, he broadcast to the circle around us. "Real partnership, right? Not every woman would step back like that." His words twisted like a knife, painting me as some selfless saint when he'd worn me down with pleas and guilt until I'd quit my firm. Elizabeth cooed approval. But inside, resentment simmered. I knew about the overtime with his 25-year-old assistant, Sophia. The hushed calls that left him smirking. Impressive work on the Larson project. Daniel chimed in Victor Lee, a senior partner. Daniel preened, accepting kudos for strategies lifted straight from junior analyst Laura Thompson's desk. I'd spotted the originals in his home office, her name scrubbed out in his scrawl. "Just creative problem-solving," he demurred, his modesty as fake as his vows. The night dragged on with toasts to his genius, me playing the adoring wife while acid burned in my chest. Back in our sleek suburban condo, Daniel kicked off his shoes and cracked a craft beer, eyes glued to his phone. "Solid evening," he muttered. "Vanguard's hooked." Elizabeth was charming, I ventured, testing the waters. "She's got connections," he replied absently, thumbs flying. "At midnight, no less." I glimpsed the screen's Sophia, with a winking emoji. "Client issue," he snapped, angling away. "Don't worry your pretty head." He vanished into the den, laughter filtering up later, low and intimate. I lay in bed, staring at drywall, the silence between us a chasm widening with every secret. The next morning, his laptop sat open on the granite counter while he showered, belting out tunes like a man without burdens. Spreadsheets glared back, discrepancies screaming, inflated invoices, mystery transfers. My design, I caught the fraud immediately. Either sloppy accounting or deliberate deceit. The water shut off, I snapped it closed. Heart racing. Coffee brewing as cover. Daniel emerged, crisp in his gray suit, pecking my cheek like routine maintenance. But as he grabbed his bag, a file peeked out, Laura Thompson's proposal, marked up in his hand. That glimpse ignited something dormant, not just hurt, but a quiet fury. The real breaking point came on a rainy Wednesday. Daniel at a strategy session that reeked of alibi. Tidying his office. His laptop pinged. A message bubble. "Miss you already. Stud. Last night was fire." From Sophia. My knees buckled. I clicked deeper, months of filth, nudes. Rendezvous plans masked as business travel, her calling him boss daddy, him vowing to dump his stale wife post-promotion. But buried beneath, worse. Offshore accounts fattened with skimmed company funds. Contracts doctored for kickbacks. A ledger tracking $280,000 in personal gains. He'd padded expenses for trysts with Sophia. Claimed bonuses on purloined work. Laura's transfer to the Seattle branch? Hush money. Essentially. My world tilted, not just a cheater, but a crook eroding the company from within. A text buzzed, "Late night again. Eat without me." I knew he was with her. Isolation crushed me. He'd woven a web of alliances at Technova. Accuse him baselessly, and I'd be the hysterical spouse. Then Robert Harlan's face surfaced, my old mentor from design days, who'd urged me not to quit. Relying on one person is a gamble. "Emily, I'd brushed it off. Now, his wisdom haunted. I duplicated files to a hidden drive. Hands quaking, statements, emails, affair proof. That night, from a mall parking lot under pretense of errands, I dialed Robert. It's Emily Reed. We need to meet about Daniel. It's critical. Pause. I've been waiting for this call. Come over tomorrow. Robert's study in his Oak Park home smelled of old books and resolve. Walls lined with plaques from Technova's early days. He pored over my drive, face darkening. This is systematic sabotage. Emily. How deep does it run? Affairs fresh. But theft? 2 years. Tied to his rise. He sighed. I've suspected his meteoric climb, deals too clean. Ideas too convenient. Laura came to me about her Larson work vanishing, he confided. Then she got promoted out west. Silenced. My gut nodded. Robert revealed more. Daniel fencing client intel to competitors. Undercutting Technova's bids for side profits. We plotted in whispers, me mining home data. Him probing internally. Discretion was key, one slip. And Daniel's charm would paint us paranoid. Living the lie not at me. Daniel's barb sharpened. You're looking frumpy. Hit the treadmill. Sophia's got that runner's body. I'd record it all. Adding to the dossier. His cruelty fuel for my resolve. Our dinners became battlegrounds of silence. Me choking down bile while he boasted. Robert uncovered deeper rot. $320,000 embezzled. Ghost charges on projects. He's a parasite, Robert growled over coffee in a distant suburb. But timing was everything. Daniel's Vanguard presentation loomed, his crowning glory, where he'd unveil the big shift. Snooping his bag. I found the divorce docs finalized. Ready. His plan crystallized. Humiliate me publicly. Ride the deal to VP. Start fresh with Sophia. Over scotch that Friday. He dropped it casual as weather. I'm done with us. Emily. Filing Monday. I folded towels. Steady as stone. Papers announce at the board meet. Post Vanguard. Bold moves. Right? The venom in his eyes. You dragged me down. Need someone on my level. I begged privately. Not in front of them, but he laughed. It's my stage now. You quit your life for this, own it. While he retreated with her. Robert and I rigged the presentation, his slides swapped for our bombshell deck. Monday. He preened like a peacock. Tomorrow's my era. I smiled thinly. That night. Papers on the counter, serving you live. The boys think it's epic. His calls to Sophia drifted up, after I ditch her. We're golden. I lay awake. Tallying his victims, Laura. Fleeced clients. Me. Dawn brought clarity. Payback wasn't vengeance, it was reclamation. Tuesday's chill air sharpened senses. I chose a simple black dress. Unobtrusive. Daniel rehearsed lines. Briefcase bulging with doom. The drive, him humming triumph. Me stealing nerves. Boardroom buzzed, Catherine presiding. Michael winking conspiracy. Robert exchanging a subtle nod. Exciting Vanguard update from Daniel, Catherine opened. He launched in. Slides 1, Glory. Praise rippled. Then, personal aside first. Envelope to me. Your marital pink slip. Laughter stung. Over months ago, fresh page. Click to Vanguard. Chaos. Evidence avalanche. Thefts. Affair. Intel sales. Daniel blanched. Stabbing the remote. $320,000 drained. Robert rose. Voice thunder. Catherine iced. Real enough. Footage. Calls irrefutable. Daniel whined. Set up. Eyes begged allies. Found revulsion. Michael shrank. Emily. Deny it. I stood. Voice unshaken. I orchestrated it. With Robert. Your betrayals end here. Final slide. Timeline of ruin. Vanguard stolen from Alex Rivera. Security stormed in. Detective Grant cuffing, arrest for fraud. Embezzlement. Daniel spat, you'll rot penniless. I met his glare. With you behind bars 7 to 12 years? I'll thrive. Led away. Broken. Catherine rallied. Audit incoming. Robert. Emily's crisis expertise, perfect lead. I pocketed the papers. Filing them myself. I'd rise from ashes. Freedom's price, my silence shattered. But soul reclaimed.